Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in time and space on this crazy planet. This is your old buddy, old pal, Jefferson Davis at jeffersondavis.us. This episode 1 of F128, is brought to you by your old buddy, old pal, Jefferson Davis. Today we're going to talk about affordable cameras, and I'm going to ramble on for just a few minutes. Hopefully this podcast will stay under 20 minutes today. Hopefully you were able to listen to the introduction podcast, and apologize for the week-long delay, but holidays and all that gets a little bit in the way, but family comes first. So I wrote an article a few days ago about affordable cameras, so I thought I would talk about that and let that be the first episode, because I want people to go out and shoot. And this is about shooting and a little bit about me going blind and photographing. And I'll talk about my humorous examples of things that I do or have done or have happened to me as a photographer and somebody that can't see trying to photograph. So a lot of professors will, photography, first year photography students, professors will tell them to go out and get a Nikon F1 or Nikon F2, one of the F series, or an Olympus OM1 or OM2 or OM3, OM4, or a Spotmatic Pentax, which I recommend the Spotmatics to anyone that's starting out, because they're great cameras and you can get the lenses reasonably. But for the average American, the non-commie, non-socialist, didn't grow up with money American, 99% of us, well, let's say about 95% of us, we don't have that kind of money laying around to buy a Nikon F1 and 3 or 4 lenses for it, the 3, the Magic 3. So we have to resort to other cameras that, in my opinion, are just as good. You can get just as good images out of them if you know what you're doing, and you spend a lot of time with them. That's key. Spending a lot of time with the camera, shooting with the cameras. Don't look at it. Go out and shoot with it. So the first I want to suggest is the Minolta SRT line. SRT 101, 102, 103, the 200, 201. I can't remember if it was a 203 or not. The 300, 301, 303, 303B. All the SRT line are tanks. The body is pretty much the same on all of those. They did change the top plate and the bottom plate over time, but they made the SRT line for years and the SR line for even longer, decades and decades. So they are tanks. They are tough, and they are basic. They offer different features, but all you need as someone that's trying to learn photography is an exposure needle and aperture control, which is on the lens, and shutter control. That's it. You don't need a timer. You don't need all the other gimmicks that they put on them. You just need basic. So I recommend any of the SRT line of cameras. They have the exposure needle, and most of them still work as long as you use the right battery. They have the basic controls, nothing fancy, and it has your ASA settings. Now, sometimes if you're using like 3200 speed film in a camera that's not rated for that, you're going to have to figure out, you're going to have to do a little bit of math. So if the max ASA for the exposure is 800 and you have 3200 film, well, you're going to double your whatever it says there, right? So you got to take that into account, but hopefully you're not doing that. You may have to. You may be shooting inside and you may have to use 3200 speed film, or you may have to push some film. I've had to do that. I've taken Arista 400 and pushed it 1600 without any major, it had a lot of grain, right? But it worked, and I got the pictures I needed to get. And sometimes you have to do that. And Arista, is cheap film, and that's great for students. That's why I buy it, because it's cheap. That and Kentmere. Kentmere 100, 400 The base is thicker than Arista. So long term, the Kent mirror, I'm not gonna worry about it fading in 10 years to the point that it's not usable. I want to be able to pull out a strip of film and reprint it in a decade or 20 years. I won't be able to do it because I'm going blind, but I want somebody to be able to do it, right? So if someone wants a print of something I've done 20 years from now, or they want to redigitize it when things are better, then they can do that. That's the great thing about film. It sits hopefully in a good place. I have it in a dark closet that's environmentally controlled, so I don't worry about it. But if you buy the Arista, it's a thinner base, so you may have to worry about it. But I'm not going to get off topic here. So the Minolta cameras are great, and you can get the lenses fairly cheap. If you look under charity shops, or you go into charity shops, thrift stores and such, as we call them in the States, you can get a great Minolta SRT camera and a couple lenses for $50 or less. You're taking a little bit of a chance. You may have to clean it up a little bit. You may have to replace a light seal. You may have to replace the mirror bumper. Whoop-de-doo. Anybody can do that. So I do recommend the Minoltas as a starter camera, and even more advanced. I mean, Minoltas, I love them. I have a Minolta SR7 sitting over here that I've had for a couple of years. I bought it for practically nothing. It came with a beautiful 58mm f1.4, the original lens that came with it. It still works. I can pick it up today. It's a beautiful camera. I love taking it out. It's an amazing camera because it's first camera with a light meter built in. Then you have, after that, I would recommend Pentax cameras. I love Pentax cameras. I love the look of that you get out of the Pentax front through the lens. As far as economically speaking, the Pentax ME Supers are great cameras. They're more modern cameras, so I don't really. The dependability of the capacitors, but they're good cameras as long as you keep them clean and not in a 130-degree car in Phoenix in the summertime. So they're good cameras. They're fairly dependable. The MEs are crap. Some professors were trying to be economical and helping students, and they recommended the MEs, and they have a lot of issues with. They weren't designed to work for 50 years. They're just not that dependable. I don't recommend them. The Super is a little bit better camera, and it takes the same lenses, so they came out. The MX is a great camera, but really, when it comes down to basics and a great camera and amazing blow your mind lenses, I tell people all the time to buy the Spotmatics. You can get a Spotmatic with a basic lens like a 51 1.7, f1.7 or f2, or like I have a 55 f2 right now on one of my other cameras that I'm going to speak about in a minute. You can get that camera with a lens for less than $50 if you look around. If you buy from KEH or something, you're going to pay $200. And you're taking a chance if you buy one on eBay, always. But life is a matter of chances, right? I have paid little to nothing for cameras that are worth a lot of money and sold them and made money off of them. Made good money off of them. And then I've had other times when I've paid little to nothing and got nothing. So, it's a chance. My favorite camera is my Spotmatic F. As far as SLRs are concerned, that is my favorite camera to take out. It is so buttery smooth. It has that 50mm f1.4 on it, and that's what I keep on there for street shooting or getting some buttery bokeh or getting. And that particular lens you can get within about 4 inches of a subject, and so you get some amazing bokeh out of it. Creamy, buttery, beautiful bokeh, and using it at night is just beautiful. I love that camera. It's an amazing camera, and I paid $7.82 for it. $7.82, and it came with the lens, and it's perfect. And that's just, that's just luck, but it's also research and looking around and digging around and spending, every spare minute I have, and I don't have a lot of them, believe it or not, looking at cameras and seeing what the prices are and checking charity shops or thrift stores and stuff. But Spotmatics are great. I'm not going to bloviate about them too long. But another camera, or line of cameras really, that you could try that I like a lot, and I talked about them in my blog post or article, are the Praktica cameras. Most of them use the M42 mount. So if you have Pentax Spotmatics, you already have M42 mount lenses, so you can just pop them on your Praktica cameras. Praktica cameras are dirt cheap. They're communist cameras, so you never know what you're going to get. You may get one that'll work for the rest of your life, never give you any issues, and you may get one that's dead on arrival. You just don't know about the communist cameras. You may get a great one, but they're quirky, they're fun cameras. A lot of people swear by them. I'm trying to think what the other one... Any of the East German cameras, SLRs, are pretty good because they use the German tools. It was just under communist rule that they, the USSR, under the rule of the USSR when they made these cameras. So, most people tend to do a pretty good job when they got a gun pointed at their head. So, scared to death, starving. You may get one that'll work for a lifetime, and it's probably radioactive, as most of the lenses are that came out of Ukraine or East Germany or Russia. Most of that was due to the coatings, but sometimes that was just due to where they were made. And but we could talk about radioactive lenses. That's funny. Funny story behind radioactive lenses and airports. But those cameras, any of the Praktica cameras are pretty good. The Zenit cameras are pretty good. I've had good luck and bad luck with them, but the lenses are great. I have a Helios 44-2 Zenit lens that is probably one of my favorite lenses. I enjoy using it. It's a K-mount, so it stays on my K1000. K1000 is a great camera and a great student camera because it's basic. But the issue with it is that everybody professors started recommending it, and everybody started taking notice about 5 years ago. Hey, these K1000s are, they're tanks like the Minoltas. They're really good cameras. It's, it's needle exposure. Let's recommend these. And then everybody on YouTube started recommending the K1000, and then it blew up. So you're lucky to get one now for less than $100. But that will change. And I just got a notification on my phone. Sorry about that. But they're great cameras if you can find one cheap. We have two. One is my wife's, and that was her favorite camera until the film advance stopped advancing the film. The little plastic mechanism in there, the spooler broke, the gearing inside of it broke, and there was nothing I could do about that other than taking the camera completely apart and replacing that part with one that I didn't have. So I'm just trying to find her another K1000, but as I said, they're not cheap, and I'll have to sell a few before I can buy her a new one, but that's okay. She deserves that and so much more. But the Spotmatics, any of the Pentax and Honeywell cameras are great. The Minoltas are great. And sure, if you can get a Canon or a Nikon for $50, go for it. But that's rare. My wife has a Canon AE1 that she loves. That's her favorite camera, other than the K1000. You know, she loves the Pentax. But the Canon is that's a family heirloom, given to her by her sister, so she loves it for that, and it makes great images. But an AE1 is worse than a K1000. They're, $100 to $150 all day long. So they're not affordable, and they're out of reach of the average person. And then the lenses for the Canons are insane, like the Nikons. So I suggest that go out there, grab you a Minolta camera. And there's all kind of other cameras that you could buy for dirt cheap. But I want you to have something that's going to last and something that you're going to have fun with. Not something that's going to break. So that's why I'm sticking with the recommendation of Minolta's, Pentax, ME Super, or more preferably a Spotmatic if you can get a good deal on one, because the lenses are amazing. The Super Tachymar lenses will blow your mind. And the old, East German cameras and lenses are amazing as well. You just never know what you're going to get with those. The Pentax, other than the MEs, I've never met a Pentax that I couldn't get to work. They just work. Sometimes things break, like film advanced spool gears, but other than that, I've never had an issue with Pentax cameras at all. Minolta's, the SRTs, I've never had one that I couldn't get to work. So I highly recommend them, and my vision's getting worse, so it takes me a lot longer to work on them now because I can't see that well. And even though my lovely wife bought me a 5X huge magnifier with a light on it, that I can spin around here and work on cameras at my desk, it's taking me a lot longer than it used to. It takes me longer to do replace light seals and stuff because I can't see that good. But I'm still doing it. I still love doing it. I love fixing things. But one other thing I wanted to throw in here before I cut this out, because I don't want these podcasts to be too long. If I could keep them fairly short and do them weekly, that would be the preference. And, if you have a 20-minute ride to work and you're able to listen to the podcast, that's great. And endure my accent for 20 minutes. That's awesome. Thank you. But I've always wanted to try a waist level finder on a 35 millimeter. And of course, if you have a Nikon F1 or F2, I think all the F4, but they have the interchangeable viewfinders, and they have a waist level finder. And I have a friend that has one of those, and they're awesome. Very bright. But I have an associate on Instagram that had a Praktica FX3 that he was showing. Sorry about that. So yeah, he had a Praktica FX2. I'm like, I like that camera. So I found a super good deal on one, so I bought an FX2. And as somebody that's going blind, it's a bad camera, but it's quirky and it's fun, and I'm going out today to use it, to play with it. So I will let you know how that goes, but it's definitely going to be interesting to try to focus with. Even though it has a little magnifier, it's still difficult to focus with it. So it's going to be interesting. But I like quirky cameras. If you ever get into a creative block and you can't figure out what to do to get out of it, actually Roger over at Shoot Film Like a Boss had a great idea. Start a project of shooting certain things or a theme, which is an awesome idea. But I usually... I will try that, but I will also try to find an obscure, weird, quirky camera and go tinker with it and shoot it, and that'll get me reinvigorated to go back and shooting my normal SLRs. So anyway, this is, I hope you've enjoyed this short podcast, in my opinion, of affordable cameras, and it really is my opinion. I mean, it is subjective, somewhat. I'm going to link my article in here that I wrote about affordable cameras and different cameras that you could buy for appropriate prices, but I really didn't. I linked to the camera wiki articles for those cameras, but I didn't link to eBay because it's always changing and the links will probably die, pretty quick. So, but if you want an example of the prices I'm talking about, just let me know. Send me a message, and I can send you one, that I've found, because I'm very good at finding these deals now. I've been doing it for a long time. So if you're interested in a Minolta or something, just let me know. I don't have any right now for sale, but I know other people who do. So just let me know and I'll find you something. But anyway, this has been a Jefferson Davis production. I hope you guys have a great day. Go out there and shoot. Get dirty. Get down. Get up. Shoot down. Shoot dog level. Just shoot something. Get you a roll of film and go out and shoot and have fun. Because that's what it's all about. Because one day you could be like me, going blind and not be able to see. So, and not to get serious or, ruin the fun here, but that's a reality that could happen to any of us. And go out and shoot. Like it's your last day, you can shoot. Every day that you see a sunrise, be grateful for it. Because there may not be a tomorrow, and or you may not be able to see it. So that's my perspective on things. And that's the way I try to think about it. But anyway, I'm a little bit hoarse today, as you might can tell. And I am recording this in GarageBand instead of Audacity, so it may sound a little different. And until I get used to this, I do apologize. I'm going to try to make it as clear and give it as much clarity as possible with my accent. But anyway, it's been a Jefferson Davis production brought to you by jeffersondavis.us. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you on the next one.